Hi, I'm David Watts, Notary Public. I put together this video to explain a little bit about how conveyancing works and what the process is from start to finish. So we've got this flow chart here. B here is our client, who is the buyer, also the borrower. We'll talk about that. So the buyer works with the realtor to communicate with the seller. They investigate the property, find the perfect property. The realtor does all the negotiations. And then once they remove subjects, our buyer gives a deposit to the realtor, and then they'll have a signed contract at this point, and they send the contract to our office. Now, while all of that is happening, our client, who is B here for buyer, is also the borrower. So they're going to be working with their mortgage broker, who's going to work with the lender. And the mortgage broker will put together the deal between the borrower and the lender to get a mortgage commitment for the amount of money for the mortgage. After that's all signed up, the mortgage broker will then send mortgage instructions to our office. And at that point, once we've got the contract and the mortgage instructions, we open a file. We then review the contract, review the mortgage instructions, and we start our due diligence process. So our due diligence, basically the first thing that we do is we search the title. So on the title to the property, what we're looking for is to see if there's any mortgages on title, any judgments for things like unpaid personal income tax or business tax, any liens, and any other charges that might affect what a purchaser can do with their property. We want to make sure that the purchaser is buying the property free of any encumbrances, so they're taking basically clear title from the seller. Next, we do a tax search. So we want to confirm that the taxes are paid up to date, confirm actually what the taxes are. And then also on the tax search, we'll see if there's any outstanding bylaw infractions, whether the property had been a grow-op or anything like that. Next, a lot of the deals that we do are for condominiums. So we'll want to confirm with the strata management company. And here what we're looking for is, for the unit, if there's been any special assessments on the property that haven't been paid or maybe they're proposed. We want to make sure, confirm what the strata fees are and make sure that they're paid up to date. We also want to see if there's been any penalties or if there's any fines that aren't paid. We want to make sure that these are all paid up to date, so when the buyer takes over the property, that there's nothing from the previous owner. We also confirm if there's a move-in or move-out fee and make sure that we account for that. We confirm that the building has insurance, or if it's a home, that the home there is insurance in place. We also we order a confirmation of the insurance, and we order an insurance binder that names the lender as loss payable on the building's insurance as it pertains to that unit. As well, in some cases, we'll order a site survey and or title insurance, depending on what our client wants and what the requirements of the lender are. So basically, from all of this information, this gives us what we need, together with the contract and the mortgage instructions, to start preparing documents. So our purchase documents, we have a set for the buyer and for the seller. So for the buyer, the documents that we're going to prepare are everything for the mortgage, if there is one. So with the mortgage, there's a bunch of lender documents. There's a mortgage commitment, the disclosure statement. They often have other things such as a property tax notice or offering life insurance. So we go through all of those, and then we prepare the Form B mortgage, this is the document that we register the mortgage on the title at the land title office. We often then have other declarations that are necessary, sometimes principal residency, stuff like that. Now, if there's no mortgage, we don't prepare those, obviously. Then we just go right into the purchase documents. So what we have here is the purchaser's statement of adjustments and the property transfer tax return. The property transfer tax, again, it's 1% on the first 200,000, 2% on the balance, and then the statement of adjustments. This just ties all the money part together. So you're going to see the purchase price, property transfer tax, the deposit that you've put down, how much money we're going to get from the mortgage, and then also, what the various other adjustments are for strata, insurance, property tax adjustment, our fee. And then you'll see what the balance for you to complete is. So what we need is for you to bring in a bank draft, for our client to bring in a bank draft, either the day before the completion day, or when we meet to sign all of these documents. So once we've prepared all of the documents, we've signed everything, then we're ready to complete on the purchase side. Now, for the seller, what we do here is these are all the sale documents. So we prepare the documents and we send them to the seller's notary for the seller's notary to explain everything and meet with the seller to sign them. So what we're looking at here is there's the Form A transfer, which transfers ownership of the property from seller to buyer. Then we've got the statement of adjustments here. Again, this is, details all the real estate commission, the other adjustments for things like property tax and strata. We have an HST certificate that confirms whether or not the transaction is subject to HST. We have a residency declaration. This just confirms that the seller is resident or non-resident, and we need to know that to see if there's any holdbacks. Then we have an assignment of the parking stall and storage lockers. Again, this is just for condos. This is part of the limited common property of the strata and not the actual strata lot itself, so we have a different document for that. And then on houses, sometimes we have a site survey declaration. So the seller's notary goes through all of that, confirms identification of the seller, signs everything, and then they deliver the documents back to us on certain undertakings. The undertakings basically are that we won't use the transfer documents until we're in a position to be able to complete the transaction, which means we've signed everything with our buyer and we have the money in our trust account. We're ready to complete and pay the seller. And then we are ready for completion. So basically what we're doing is, before we do the registration, we want to confirm what the results are of our due diligence searches. So we make sure that we've got our Strata Form F, Certificate of Payment, confirm that all the Strata fees are paid up to date. We review the Form B, make sure that if there's any special assessments, that's all been accounted for and dealt with the seller. We want to make sure there's no penalties or liens or anything that we don't know about. We want to make sure that everything has been accounted for. We confirm that our insurance coverage is in place and that our lender is named as loss payable on the insurance. We need to make sure that we've received the excess deposit from the realtor's office, the balance of funds that our client would have brought for the signing, and that's in a bank draft form, and then also the mortgage funds. Sometimes we'll have that as a draft ready for completion date, but usually it will be funded to our trust account on the morning of completion. Then we're ready to go. So the first thing we do is we do a pre-search. We want to make sure that there's nothing on the title that wasn't there when we started this process. As long as it's all good, then we can do our registration. So we e-file all our transactions, mortgages or transfers or whatever. That just takes a minute. And then once the documents are uploaded, we have to wait an hour. We'll receive the numbers then, but we have to wait an hour and do another search to confirm, so we can see our numbers on title and make sure that there's been nothing else that's been registered in the meantime, from the time going from our pre-search to the registration. So once that hour has gone by, then we can do our reporting. So we write our checks. We have the sale proceeds ready for the seller's notary, so we call them and let them know that the transaction is completed. We give them the transaction number, as well as let them know the money's available. Then we send faxes to the realtors, so we let them know what the registration number is, confirm that it's happened. We also release their commission from their trust account, and so they're ready to pay that out. They'll exchange the keys. So the two realtors exchange the keys amongst themselves, and then the selling agent will give the keys to the buyer. And then we send our reporting to the lender and to the buyer. So our reporting to the lender and buyer, these are original copies of all of the mortgage and the purchase documents, and we mail them out right after completion. They're usually received within a week or so. And then we're into our post-completion. Okay, so post-completion. So what happens after completion is the seller's notary will have the sale proceeds. So they're going to pay out the existing mortgage on title They're also going to pay out any other charges, whatever, if there's outstanding taxes or anything like that. And then the balance goes to the seller. So when they do the pay out the mortgage with the money is also a discharge that the bank has to sign and then send back to the seller's notary within 30 days. Upon receipt of that, they have to register with the land title office and then provide us as the buyer's notary the particulars of the discharge, and they have to have that to us within 60 days. After that, we have confirmation that the mortgage is discharged. We'll order a state of title certificate, and the state of title certificate just confirms everything that's on the title. So whoever the registered owner is, if there's any mortgages on title, it should be just the new mortgage on title, and it's signed by the land title office. So that's the guarantee by the land title office as to the true state of the title at that time. So we provide the state of title certificate to the lender. We also give a copy to the buyer, and we keep a copy, and that's it. Then we close our file.